What's good? What's good? What's good? Yo, we back for another episode of Think Pieces and Conversations with yours truly, A Left Earth. Let's take this to a whole nother stratosphere. Let's put the flames on. We're in the purging era. We're in a strengthening era. We're in a heavily. This is a time of resistance, a time of you either fight the resistance that's being weighed on you mentally, spiritually, physically. It's a fight. Everybody has their fight. Donald Trump got 34 counts guilty of paying a chick off to shut up. $34 counts of paying a chick to shut up. I must say, man, the times we living in is very eye-opening, man. This is not a politics podcast. This is not a politics broadcast. This is a let's think about it, let's have a conversation about it podcast. Whatever topic comes to mind. Now, in all facets of life, we are all going through a war arc. And if you are a fan of anime and these war arcs that happen during very popular shonen anime, very popular anime that have a lot of action occurring in it, in a war arc, there is usually a lot of action, a lot of people dying, a lot of plot twists. It's the most exciting parts of the anime. It's tournament arcs, war arcs. America right now is in its war arc. The world right now is in a war arc. And these war arcs are times of purging, are times of strengthening, are times of reevaluating ourselves, really finding out who we are. There's a great unlearning process, and through that unlearning process, even when I'm lifting weights, I realize, I've been lifting this wrong. Let me lift this the right way. I get more results. I've been reading this wrong. Let me read this. Okay, I see a different perspective. The times we living in, we're learning little by little that a lot of the stuff that we've been learning, been taught, is complete bullshit. Complete bullshit. Through this war arc of life that we all going through, especially in mine personally, I realize as I get older, I realize my value. And my value is a lot higher than what a next man or next woman places me as in their life. My value is extremely high. And if I'm within your circle and you don't know that through all the series of events that we've gone through, mostly good, all the shit that we learned together, mostly good, all the things that have been done for you or done for me, all throughout the situation, then dog, me waste the energy to talk on it is a waste of time. Me talking about that is a waste of time. The truth is hard. So when I go through my issues with my people or whoever, I like to have more fun than having a negative, thing about it. I like to, say jokes or whatever, because I know it ain't that serious. But that's my brain. My brain thinks if we going through a problem and it ain't that serious, I'm gonna have fun with this shit. But not everybody has my brain, so I'm empathetic to that. But certain things is just not worth arguing about. And you gotta realize that in your life, man. That you gotta prioritize what you argue about. Prioritize the arguments, prioritize the problems, prioritize your energy, man. We got too much occurring every day. Things that we gotta put our real time and thought to. That requires undivided attention. Great intention. Pointed attention in order to solve these things. But I'm going through X and I'm watching somebody tweet something. It's crazy, man. And it was like, yo, nicotine kills brain parasites. And I was like, shit, I've been told as a kid, since I was a kid, that nicotine was bad for you. And then I began to add up all the things that I've learned since I started my unlearning process, which had to be about 2017, maybe. I want to say about 2016, 17. Since I started my unlearning process and growing and learning more and learning the real education. And the real education is what you can actually see with your eyes or point out for yourself that makes sense. That you could come up with your own theories for through a lot of research and not through just what a school book tells you, not just what your teacher tells you. It's through a plethora of perspectives that you gain throughout your entire life. That's the real education. You put it all together, you make your own decision. It's not, yo, he said this, so it's true, or she said that, or it's true. You got to go with your degree of experience, training, research, and putting together your own conclusions. So I took upon myself after I worked out. See, I got my workout gear. I took it upon myself to acknowledge the feeling that I have when I smoke a cigar. And my mind is much clearer. I don't know exactly what brain parasites do, but if brain parasites have anything to do with brain fog, which what I saw on this post on X, that nicotine does kill that, I no longer had brain fog. I no longer was confused about anything. Well, at least confused less confused. So maybe that's correct. I know online, on media, websites, news, I don't watch the news that much, but when I do be at work, I do see the news on the TV, so I may partake in watching it. There is a clear agenda on who the powers that be don't want to be in office. The powers that be put poison in the food. The powers that be promotes nudity, male nudity to children. The powers that be have parades that have half-naked men in the streets or fully naked men in the streets. The powers that be put half-naked men on their Capitol Hill lawn. The powers that be made me not like cereal no more, because I figured out that cereal is extremely horrible for you. So if the powers that be is telling me not to vote for this guy, or not to look this way, or to not to listen to Dr. Sebi because Dr. Sebi doesn't know nothing, the powers that be tells me nicotine is bad for you. There's nothing that the powers can be that the powers that be can tell me about anything no more. There is zero trust in the powers that be. There's zero trust. So the purging begins. So the flames in the back begins. The flames of purification has started. And it probably started long before I realized it. But within a macro, there's a micro. So within the big things that's happening, there are micro things that's happening that reflect on what the macro is doing, or if the and vice versa. It's all the law of correspondence. So within my life, there is realizations that happen through small events. Through the small events, I understand what the macro is because I think on that level. Not everybody thinks on that level. So when I think a small problem is really a small problem, somebody else that doesn't think on that level could think that small problem is a huge problem. And we will not see eye to eye. We will bump heads, probably fall out. And that's fine. But there's a realization that must occur within the time apart that determines if those two parties will come back or they won't. As you get older, as you grow in age, I can't even say older, because when I get older, I get better. So I realize energy that I use can't be used for all the small shit. It can't be used for all the things that just don't matter in the moment. Everybody has their own issues, but everybody has a ego, a huge ego. And sometimes they want you to fulfill their ego for ridiculous things. And you could either choose to partake in the distraction or you partake in understanding what's going on. See, me, I'm going to ask questions. You should ask questions when you read something, when you watch the TV and they tell you something. If in 2024 you still don't ask questions when they tell you anything, you are lost. There's nothing I could say on this podcast that'll tell you anything. Anything I say on this podcast that I tell you that you should do, you should go and research why you should. You shouldn't just automatically take that step. But if it makes sense for you, that means it was meant for you. What's higher than Mercury Retrograde? Ever since I got into this astrology thing and, understanding that the stars and the planets have a lot to do with our moods and actions. Not direct actions like, yo, if the moon is an eclipse, then you're gonna shoot somebody. No. There is something that happens mentally, physiologic. I can't even say it. Physically, that there is a resistance that occurs. That when you want to do something during these times of the stars and the planets doing some shit during the month, there is either resistance or no resistance. So there is a resistance of being understanding right now. There is a resistance of understanding that emotions ain't facts, feelings ain't facts. There is like a Mercury Special-Grade happening right now. Not special as in something's wrong with you, but if you're a fan of Jujutsu Kaisen, that's an anime. There is a class of what's happening right now. There is Mercury Retrograde, and I consider this to be Mercury Special-Grade. It's just a lot of moving parts happening. It seems like the universe is trying to cleanse something fast. I love all my friends that I currently have, right? But if we don't have an understanding of something and we can't talk in person and we proceed to talk on a text and it becomes an issue, guess what? I will no longer inflate the issue through text. That means when you see me, or if you want to talk, we talk and then we'll X out the problem. But for right now, I'm not having no conversations through text over no problems, because there is something happening with our thoughts and reading the text, Mercury Special-Grade, and motherfuckers determine what's being said and what isn't being said. So my new technique is not talking at all. My new technique is just going to the gym, focusing on what I gotta do, letting people figure out where they went wrong, and we come back. I'm not forcing you to like me. I'm not forcing you to hate me. I don't got the energy for it. I got the energy for what I got going on. What's top priority, what's low priority gets put into the back burner with the junk mail. Sorry. And for all the kids that's 20 and under, 25 and under, 26 and under, when you get to 30s and you get up there, you understand your energy has to be used with intention on what you need to do and what you want to do. You understand that energy that you have mentally, physically, spiritually, that you're trying to intend on putting into something has to be, it's finite and has to be used when it's supposed to be used. So with everything happening in the world right now, it's a lot of people that are confused on where to put their energy in. They watch the net and they consistently consume. So they want to get into this issue. They want to support this issue, that issue, and refuse to look in their backyards, refuse to look within their families, refuse to look into their friend groups. Because this issue is a lot easier to handle because it doesn't directly affect me right now, but it's over there. It's happening over there. So it's much safer to put all my energy into that, be emotionally attached to that, and forget the decaying background that we have right now. The decaying backyards that we're having right now. The decaying friendships that we're having right now. You need to focus. If I tell you 2 + 2 = 4, and you tell me 2 + 2 = 5, in today's climate of learning and unlearning, you might be right. Especially if you tell me why you think that is. Terrence Howard, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. And he said a lot of things that made sense. A lot of things that was outside the box that we've been taught since we were young. In these science books, these decrepit, old, unswag, uncreative science books that have no personality to them. He's been telling us a lot of things, and ever since that, my mind has been opened up to a lot more possibilities and a lot more just everything. The main question I ask is, what do we know actually about anything? It's better to put our experiences together, what we learn, and then come up with our own conclusions instead of one person telling us, yo, this is what this means, and we got to go for it. Nah. This is what we showing you on TV. We said he's bad, so you gotta believe us. Nah, why you think he's bad? This food ain't good for you. Nah, why you think that food ain't good for you? Dr. Sebi is bad. He don't. Why you think Dr. Sebi is bad? He got all this research. You gotta ask more questions. I don't know if that's the name of this episode, but you gotta ask more questions. It's okay to ask more questions. In this time of Mercury Special-Grade, it's okay to not get what you want at this moment. I don't know what else to talk about, man. This was another episode of Things, Pieces, and Conversations. I'm out of here.